Jeffrey Weston, and we talked before a little bit about what we were going to do in our discussions about spiritual consciousness. This is a book I wrote called The Bridge at the Edge of the Universe, Journey Towards Enlightenment. And this is what we're going to be talking about over the next 4 or 5 sessions. If you want to change the world, you only need to change your vision of the world, and when you do that, the world will change. Do you know how many California psychologists it takes to change a light bulb? Just one, but the light bulb has to want to change. I have friends and family that I've known for years, and I can't help them because they're not ready to change. They're kind of stuck in places which isn't happy for them. You have to be willing and able to make those changes. But I can help you if you're at that point in your life where you want to do that. Dr. David Hawkins, developed a scale of spiritual consciousness, and I deal a lot with that scale. And I'm going to teach you what that scale's about and all, but it goes from 1,000 with Jesus at 1,000, and 200 is the dividing line between positive and negative thinking. And 10 or 12 years ago, 50% of the people in the United States were above 200. Today it's gone down to 43% that are above 200. And so it concerns me that so much that I've decided to, well, I'm an artist. I've been an artist for 50 years, and one of the things that I have liked the most about it is my anonymity and my privacy, and I've decided that I have got to get some of the things that I've learned over a lifetime out to where they can help a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are just right below 200 and they're in all kinds of pain and suffering. But right below 200 you get pride and arrogance and greed and things that have to do with the personal self. And below that is down to 180, 170. You get into some pretty miserable people that are in pain and suffering, and they don't know why. So one thing that it isn't even in the book, I figured it out later, is that people below 200 have like a hall of mirrors. They live in a hall of mirrors. Every place they see a reflection back of themselves, and they see themselves as separate from their environment, this is your immediate environment, and from the world in general, that they are not connected to it. And that's where a lot of the problems that we have in this world come from, is people who don't feel connected to the larger picture, the trees, the flowers, the hills. They see them, but they see them as a reflection back of themselves instead of seeing it in somewhat 3 dimensions as being real and right there in front of them, and them being a part of a bigger picture besides that. What it takes, it's really simple. It's just a click of a switch almost, is its courage. You have to have the courage to see yourself as part of a bigger world. Once that happens, everything gets a lot easier. I mentioned it before about Dr. David Hawkins, who is not Stephen Hawking, not even close. He was in the first meditation groups in 1957 in New York City. He is got a PhD, he's an MD. He's also got a few other masters. In high school he was a little tiny character, and they said, we don't have enough football players. Get Hawkins and put him on the team. And the coach said, oh no, first person to hit him would break him in two, break his bones, something. That was not one of his qualities, but he did read a book a day. So he was very literate. This is one of the main books that, if you get along in this and you want to read it, it's a little dry, but it's called Power versus Force. And I might mention things in there. You had a big load and you got 20 people trying to push that thing, that'd be really hard. That if you're trying to force it, See, that's really hard. But if you have, so somebody says, well, let's put these rollers underneath here, and they put some logs underneath it, and they put the whole thing, manage to get it on the logs, and they put a rope around it, and they pull it toward them, and then they move the logs around, and they go, this isn't too bad, we can manage this, because that would be a true sense of power. And so that's a distinction that he makes a lot, and he talks about power versus force all the time. Like your past, you have parents and you have influences that are telling you should be one way, or that you can do things, you can't do things, whatever. But the past is just a bunch of shadows, and it's not real. The only thing that's real is this moment right now. See, another aspect of what he's talking about here is that it's a lot easier to be pulled by things that are interesting to you in the future than it is to be pushed by aspects of things that and people's influences over you from the past. I'm going to keep this short for a couple of sessions, because every time you learn something new, it takes a lot more brain power. There's blood flowing to your head, synaptic connections, and so you can go into a fog. And another point is, if there's a really interesting point, oh man, that's interesting, and then you don't hear anything for a while. So don't feel bad. If you want to go and hear it again, do that. But we're going to keep the first couple of sessions short.